Welcome to Talk Travel with Heather Tate, North Mississippi's podcast for savvy travelers. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is a weekly podcast that airs every Monday on the Shark 102.3 FM radio station based in Ripley, Mississippi, and is then released as a podcast. Travel advisor and travel enthusiast Heather Tate of Whimsical Destinations gives listeners expert travel tips curated through the years of personal and professional experience. By clicking subscribe, you'll have a new travel tip to add to your collection delivered to your podcast library every Monday. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is brought to you by Sun Bear Studio. Sun Bear Studio is a boutique recording studio in the heart of Ripley, Mississippi. When you record with us at Sun Bear Studio, we can mix, master, register, and publish your music, your podcast, or your family story. Email us when you're ready at sunbear@jc.media.
This program was recorded at Sun Bear Studio in Ripley, Mississippi.
Good morning, Northeast Mississippi travelers. This is Heather with Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and I'm so excited to share my adventures and tried and true tips with you, whether you are also a seasoned traveler, a hopeful traveler, or currently an armchair traveler, meaning you're going to follow along with us from home for now. This is our 175th episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and this week it's going to be all about biking adventures. Now, I know that this is not the time of year that most people think of as bike riding, right? We're at Christmas time. I'm aware of that. But what is one of the number one gifts given and received for young kids at Christmas? That's right. It's a bike. So I want you to think about some of these ideas. If you're gifting your child a bike this year, or maybe you wanted a new bike this year, to think about some of these ideas, because it's so fun to not only gift a present like a bike, but to have something in mind where you want to do this together as a family. Or maybe you're not, gifting a new bike, but you have bikes and you want to go bike riding together. Or maybe you're looking at some ideas to inspire you for where to go next year. You're going to love these ideas. There are lots of mountain bike trails, and I'm not going to focus on that today. This is going to be for all levels. So first, I'm going to start with Dogwood Canyon, because this is one I have done most recently. We have done this 3 years in a row. Now, to me, Dogwood Canyon is one of the most magical places in the U.S., maybe on Earth to me. It's very special. Johnny Morris, the owner of Bass Pro and Tracker Boats, he owns Dogwood Canyon, and it's a reserve not only for there's bison and other wildlife, but the area has waterfalls and caves and clear streams. It is stunning. And you also don't have to worry about there being a lot of through traffic, because you're going to have bikers, pedestrians, and the occasional tram that is not going very fast and is also looking out for pedestrians and bikers. And then there's certain spots where there's trails that are just for the bikers and pedestrians. So I think it's very safe, and I love it because it's great for all ages. I saw, more experienced bikers there on even trikes. You can bring your own bike, or you can rent them there after the cost of admission. It's only $15 per person to rent a bike. So it was not much at all, and we could use them all day. Also, if you have small children, I was very impressed with this. And I have biked before with London when he was 3 years old with the Burley trailers, and I'll tell you about that in just a moment. But I saw families where you had the mom and the dad, and they were pulling a Burley trailer, which they also had there, hooked up to the bike with their 2 small children in each one. So 4 kids, and they were taking them for a pull. That was impressive. I fortunately did not have to worry about that, because everybody can bike themselves now in our family. And so we had a wonderful time. It was a 6.2-mile round trip, paved pathway, and the leaves were changing and they were falling. It looked like something out of a storybook. Clear streams, covered bridges, waterfalls, a treehouse built by treehouse masters, a chapel where they have weddings year-round, golden trout at the end of the path. You get to a double waterfall that's just stunning, and not only just regular trout that you could also go fly fishing for, but these had golden trout, and they were beautiful. You start off in Missouri and you end in Arkansas because it's right on the border of the two. So it's fun to take your picture. Like you could literally say, I biked to another state that day. So my husband Logan and I did it once, and our boys and our niece did it twice round trip. We stopped off our second time and just, took a break and just soaked in the nature. I think Logan even took a nap by the waterfall. I was taking pictures and just enjoying just resting. And you can also bring a picnic, and there's a great restaurant on site. So we biked round trip one time, ate at the restaurant, and then decided, okay, we'll do it again. And we just didn't go as far as the kids did. Another great place to bike that I've biked before is in Mackinac Island in Michigan. You're up there by the lakes, the Great Lakes, and it is a car-free island. So it actually is the only state highway in the U.S. that is car-free. It's an 8.2-mile loop that takes about 1 to 3 hours, depending on how fast you go and how often you stop, because it is beautiful there. So there's lots of places you can stop at. You can stop at a fort, some overlooks with arches. The water there was so blue when we went in the summer, it looked like the Caribbean. I kid you not. There's fudge, there's horse-drawn carriages, and there's people who are walking, but you're not going to have to worry about any cars. So it's another great place to bike with families. You can also go tandem bike riding. So if you've ever dreamed of the perfect date where you're doing a bike for two, that's one of the places that you can go. Other places, Hilton Head Island is one of the most bike-friendly beach destinations in the entire South, with miles of trails going through maritime forest. You're going to see lighthouses, and the bikes are also allowed on the beach. So that's something to think about. Not all locations are bike-friendly on the beach, and this is one of them. And Hilton Head Island has won awards for being one of the top bike-friendly communities. Vermont has another one I'm very interested in, right outside of Burlington, Vermont. It's called the Island Line Rail Trail. So it was an old rail bed. And so speaking of that, we know of our own rails to trails, which is Tanglefoot trails. So, if you want to get practice for some of these that are further afield, start with Tanglefoot Trail. We have a rails to trails pathway here in our own backyard in Northeast Mississippi. So in Vermont, what stood out to me for this trail is that it goes along the lake. You're going to see the Adirondack Mountains, and it even has a bike ferry in the summer where you can load your bikes on the ferry on the lake, and it'll take you to another spot onto an island. And lastly, we're going to take a river cruise next year on AMA Waterways, and this river cruise line includes bikes. So every one of their river cruise ships has bikes included, and so your excursions are included every day. So you can go biking, or you can also just check them out. If you don't want to do the group biking tour, you can check them out individually and bike in the hamlets and the little towns and the villages. We are going to go through the Wachau Valley, which is in Austria and is one of the wine destinations in Europe, where they have the Riesling wine, and you can bike all along the river there, along the Danube, and that's one of the things we're most excited about. So we said that all of our biking that we plan on doing this coming up year is going to just give us extra practice for when we are in the places that Christian wants to bike the next time, especially in Europe, because Europe is very biking friendly. Looking at you, Amsterdam, because when we went to Amsterdam this past summer, when we were coming back from Croatia, there were bike trails everywhere. It's a very bike friendly destination, and Christian really wanted to go biking, but I'll feel more comfortable this coming up year when we have more experience as a family biking together. That's all the time we have for this week's episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate. I hope you got some ideas to inspire you and your bike-loving family for new adventures in the year to come. Whatever you do this week, make it adventure. Life is short. Take the trip. Make those memories. You won't regret it. This show is made possible by JC Media, LLC in Ripley, Mississippi. JC Media owns the Shark 102.3 Classic Rock FM radio station where the show is hosted, and Sun Bear Recording Studio where the interviews are recorded. We need your feedback and support. If you listen to the podcast on a player like iTunes, Google Podcast, or Amazon Music, please subscribe to the show and leave us a review. We also have an email in which you can share your feedback. That email is theshark1023@gmail.com. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite app or stream episodes online at shark1023.com/podcasts. Today's episode was produced by Melinda Marsalis. It was edited by Rick Williams and engineered by Chris Marsalis. The podcast technician is Joyce Grady.